Next thing that we want to work on is creating a product. So for that, if we go back to our project, we'll stop it here and we'll be working on Absurd Post. First thing we check is if the model state is valid, and before that, right here, we will be getting a product view model. So we'll change that to view model rather than category. Then the logic here will be much different and much more complex. Now we need to save our images. We can save that inside our www root folder. We can add a new folder here. Let me call this as images. And inside images, we'll add another folder for product images and we'll call it product. Now this is a constant path that we'll have to access whenever we'll be dealing with images. So for that, I want to create a file which will hold all the constants of our website. So right here, we can we'll add a new class file. I'll call it WC for web constants. We'll make it a static class. In here, I'll do public static string image path, and this path will be / images product and /. So that way we have the path that you see right here. Now we need the root folder of our application and we want to access that. How can we access that? We can access that using ASP.NET Core's built-in framework dependency. So for that, if we go on the top here and we'll create a private read-only, what we want is iWebHost environment. You can see we have to add using for Microsoft.ASP.NET Core.Hosting, and we'll call this _webhost environment. Right here we have the iWebHost environment. We'll call it the webhost environment, and _webhost environment is equal to the webhost environment. So this way we are getting the iWebHost environment using dependency injection. Then we can use it in our Absurd Post. So first, if a new image is uploaded, we need to retrieve that. So we'll save that in files, and this we can retrieve using http context.request.form.files. Then we need the path to our www root folder. So that will be web root path, and we can access that using the webhost environment. We have the web root path. Once we have the path, let's find out if we have an image, or rather this function is being called for create or an update. So that we'll know with product view model.product.id. If this is equal to 0, we are creating, else we are updating. So for creating, what we have to do is we'll have a string of upload, and this will be web root path plus web constants we have dot, we'll use the image path. Whoops, we have a spelling mistake there. Let me fix that. So this way we'll get our path to the folder that we see where we want to save the image. Then we'll add a string called file name. What is the file name that we want to give? We have multiple options, but what I will do is I will generate a random GUID. So we'll say GUID.newGUID, and in here we'll convert this to a string. Then we have the string extension here, and we want to get the extension of the file that was uploaded. So we'll say path.getExtension. In here we'll say files of 0.file name. So we'll get the extension of the file here. Once we have all of that, we will copy the file to the new location, which is uploads. In order to do that, we will add a using here, and we'll say variable file stream is equal to new file stream, and we'll say path.combine. Here we'll have the uploads which is our new location. And what is the file? That is file name plus the extension. So we have both the paths here, and what we want to do is comma, we'll have file mode.create. So that will create a new file, and in there we'll say files of 0.copy2. We'll copy the file stream. So this might look too much of code, but it's actually C# code and nothing to do with ASP.NET Core. We are just copying the file to the new location, which is upload. So with this, the file will be copied over. Now, once the file gets copied over, we need to update the image inside product with this new path. So we'll say product view model.product.image is equal to file name plus the extension. So the only thing that we are storing here is the new GUID name that we have for the file and the extension. We are not storing the path that we have inside web constant. So every time we display the image, we'll have to add this image path plus the name that we are storing inside the database right here. If you prefer, you can just add that path right here so that you do not need in other pages, but I'll go with this for now. That being said, we'll add the product next. So _db.product.add, and we will add product view model.product. So this will actually take care of everything that we have to do when we have to add a product. That being said, let me run the application and try to create our first product. We have an error, of course we do. Let's see that. Whoops, we have an obj here. Let me just return back to the view at the end of absurd. Let's run this and give that a try. We'll go to product here and let's try to create one. We populated a few information and I selected an image. Let me change it to something else and let's hit the create. Something happened, but it was not actually saved in the database and we do not see any error. I want you to pause the video and figure out what's wrong right now. The fix is right in front of you. If you switch back to the application, inside the controller, we are adding the product, but we are not saving that to the database. So right here, we need _db.savechanges. Sometimes when weird things happen in which you have done everything, but it does not reflect in the database, that time save changes is most likely the culprit. Now let's run our application and try that one more time. Let's try to create a new product here. Great, you can see the product has been created. It was of type concrete. If you try to hit edit now, let's see what happens. We see test 3333 and category type is selected concrete by default. So drop-downs are also working. Image, if a user wants to upload it, then they will have to do that. If not, it will be empty. Next, let's work on edit product.